lift your voice, come, shine your light, come, now is the time, come, come, as we gather in this sacred place, Spirit meets us face to face, come, take a hand, come, give your heart, come, as you are, come, 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 lift your voice, come, shine your light, come, now is the time, come, come, come as you are, come, come, come.
As an affirmation for peace in the Middle East and in solidarity with our Muslim and Jewish brothers and sisters, all of us people of the book, we greet one another. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Peace be upon you.
And upon you, peace.
Shalom.
Alaikum shalom.
Well, as most of you know, I'm Reverend Vicky Elder, and it's my joy and honor to welcome you on this last Sunday of summer to Unity of Monterey Bay, a beloved community co-created with love and intention that welcomes all people, all races, ages, cultures, ethnic backgrounds, economic circumstances, nationalities, and religions. Whatever your immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, family configuration, and or abilities. Whether you're here with us in person or joining us virtually, we know that love knows no boundaries. We are one in spirit. As a purpose-driven church, Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community committed to co-creating an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just, and compassionate human presence on this planet. We celebrate our oneness and honor the God of each of our understanding, affirming the innate good and divine essence within each and every individual. Would you please join me in our statement of faith? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. And as we allow this knowing to deepen within our souls and serve to awaken us into enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings, we join in holding a high watch for our nation through this election season and for the world with this prayer for peace. I offer you peace.
I offer you peace.
I offer you love.
I offer you love.
I offer you friendship.
I offer you friendship.
I see your beauty.
I see your beauty.
I hear your need.
I hear your needs.
I feel your feelings.
I feel your feelings.
My wisdom flows from the one source,
My wisdom flows from the one source,
and I bow to that source in you.
and I bow to that source in you.
Let us work together for unity and love.
Let us work together for unity and love.
And now, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, which begins today and goes on through October 15th, I'd like to share this prayer. We are grateful for the knowing that all people of the earth are of one blood, yet we are also richly blessed with a world of many languages, cultures, and traditions. Today, we especially give thanks for the many gifts and contributions that have been and continue to be made by those of Hispanic or Latin heritage to our community, to our state, to our nation, and to our world. We are blessed to learn from and appreciate each other, and are even stronger because of our diverse gifts and experiences. May our minds, bodies, and spirits continue to be enriched as we celebrate together on this beautiful day, And will you please join me in affirming? Thank you, God, for this most amazing day. Miracle follows miracle, and wonders never cease. And now is the time that each week we celebrate our children, those that are part of our spiritual community, those in our families, and those in our larger community, all the children of the world. We hold them in our hearts and we see them protected and resilient, creative and evolving, joyous and loved as we join in our heartfelt blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you just the way you are.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Woo! Woo! So now, let's all take a deep breath in and let it out with an audible sigh. Let's do that one more time. It felt good. As we center ourselves to embrace this blissful interconnection with Spirit and invite the chime to call us into this sacred space within. We ring the chime 4 times to call in the 4 directions and remind us of our interconnection with all of creation and the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonate through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Continuing to focus on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us. We move beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, we breathe our awareness into the highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace as we can imagine, as we experience a transforming wave of gratitude. And with a fullness of heart, we say yes to it all, embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And with a final exhale, we say, thank you, God. Now, fully centered and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
We read from the September 1st Daily Word shared with permission of Unity, publisher of Daily Word, that can also be found at dailyword.com. And the word is togetherness. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. Togetherness enriches my soul. So much of modern life involves time alone and solitary effort. The more conveniences I acquire, the less time I may seem to have. When I find myself spending too much time alone, it's good for me to invest time and effort in my relationships. Togetherness is a way to remember life is about more than work and busyness, and I am a part of something greater than myself. Time spent with others blesses and enriches me. It calls me to share of myself and remain open to others' journeys and ways of looking at life I may not have considered. Togetherness is a balm for my soul, a way to feel the presence of God reflected in those with whom I share this wonderful planet. I am part of the wondrous human family, and I celebrate our togetherness. And from the scriptures, so we who are many are one body in Christ, and individually we are members of one another. Romans chapter 12, verse 5.
I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all.
In witness to the wisdom of the many paths to the sacred, we read from 3 sacred traditions on this morning's topic, sacred citizenship. From Buddhism, each of us must learn to work not just for his or her own self, family, or nation, but for the benefit of all mankind. Universal responsibility is the real key to human survival. It is the best foundation for world peace, the equitable use of natural resources, and through concern for our future generations, the proper care of the environment. From Judaism, he has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? From Christianity, finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice, be restored, encourage one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11.
What does our God require of us? What does our God require of us? Justice, kindness, walk humbly with our God, to seek justice and love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. Justice, kindness, walk humbly with our God. Justice, of us walk humbly with our God.
Well, as I shared in my minister's message this week, I hadn't originally planned to be speaking today, and clearly God had a different plan. So this is going to be the addendum to last week's Walking Our Talk as we talk about sacred citizenship. So Wednesday evening, I was packing for a 2-day trip for a West-Southwest IAF meeting in Denver, Colorado, where I would be representing COPA. I was leaving at 4 a.m. on Thursday morning to catch a 6:35 flight when I got a text from Michelle, who had gone to the ER because she wasn't feeling well, and sure enough, she was diagnosed again with pneumonia. Clearly, she wasn't going to be able to do today's lesson, which I had not been thinking about at all because I had all of this, the whole week filled. And an update before we move on, Paco was here earlier, and he said that Michelle is doing better. She's resting, doesn't have a lot of energy, but the antibiotics have kicked in, and so I invite us all to continue to hold her and James, who also went to the hospital and has pneumonia, and he's still in CHOMP, and Nancy, who's continuing to heal from her knee surgery, and of course Steve, who's also healing from his knee surgery and cancer treatments, and any and everyone else who we know that is in need of our healing prayers. So let us see them all returning to the wholeness and wellness that is the truth of our being, and we give thanks that it is so. Amen. So, as I processed this news Wednesday night, I quickly realized that I needed to get an e-blast prepared because the person doing the lesson also does the e-blast, and a lesson title to send to Kay before I got on that airplane on Thursday morning. Fortunately, as with all COPA and IAF events, there had been assigned readings to complete in preparation for this upcoming meeting, 5 articles actually, and I'd been immersed in them since Monday, and had gotten through 4.5 of the 5 articles by Wednesday night, thinking I was going to be able to finish the last one on the airplane ride. Not surprisingly, these articles were inspiring and agitating, such that I'd already been thinking there's a lesson, Sunday lesson in here. I just didn't think it was going to be today. Once again, divine order overrode my plans. So, agitating, by the way, is a IAF COPA term that means troubling and concerning, such that it begs our action. So I went to sleep with the question about a lesson title and focus. And sitting in the airport Thursday morning, working on the e-blast, I received the answer, sacred citizenship, exploring how our spiritual journey can inform our understanding of citizenship and vice versa, how our role as citizen can inform our spiritual journey. And it seemed especially appropriate given both our nation's current political situation and my lesson last week on Walking the Talk of Spiritual Transformation, in which I quoted Sheldon Wolin, if you recall, discussing how we have largely forfeited our spiritual birthright of politicalness, which he defines as our capacity for developing into beings who know and value what it means to participate in and be responsible for the care and improvement of our common collective life. Sounds a lot like sacred citizenship to me. With that undeveloped but clearly divine idea, I sent the e-blast to Kay and got on the plane, trusting that the rest of the message and lesson would be revealed in due time. So, after the IAF meeting ended at noon on Friday, I sat in the hotel lobby waiting for my shuttle back to the airport, reflecting on today's lesson, sacred citizenship, and where it was calling me to go, given my past 8 years in COPA, all that I had just experienced in the past 2 days, and admittedly, the very limited time frame I had to prepare this lesson. I normally take about 20 hours, and I was going to I had a meeting Saturday morning once I got a COPA meeting Saturday morning. So I had really from 1 o'clock Saturday until 3 o'clock Sunday morning to do this lesson. Realizing that even after 8 years, we are all still learning about this movement, this COPA, IAF, broad-based community organizing efforts, I realized that I needed to share my insights in bite-sized pieces because that's clearly how I've been integrating them. So I decided that I would share specifically about the one reading that had initially inspired me to think there's a Sunday lesson in here. And that is chapter 7, entitled The First Revolution is Internal, from the book Cold Anger, A Story of Faith and Power Politics, that was written by Mary Beth Rogers, who's a Texas professor, public servant, writer, political organizer, historian, public television CEO, and author. He's had an amazing life, who does a deep dive into the true nature of IAF broad-based organizing in this book. First off, the chapter title reminded me of the Wolin quote, again, from last week, and provided me with a deeper understanding of his comparison of us forfeiting our spiritual birthright of politicalness, or what I'm calling citizenship, to the biblical story of Esau selling his birthright inheritance to his brother Jacob for a bowl of stew. Though Esau and Jacob were twins, Esau was born first and thereby became the legal heir to the covenant between God and Abraham that was passed down to his father Isaac and would have then gone to Esau, Isaac's eldest son. To be clear, the inheritance Esau sold to his brother for a bowl of stew because he came in the house hungry included the covenant with its promise of God's eternal blessing, as well as a double portion of the paternal inheritance, a priestly position, and more. In other words, Esau chose a temporary material pleasure over an eternal spiritual blessing. Metaphysically, Esau represents our human animal nature, functioning in service to our external needs, wants, and fears, whereas his younger brother Jacob, who proffered the stew for the inheritance, represents our human internal mental nature and thereby our capacity to grow in consciousness. Clearly, in this story, both of them acted poorly and had much to learn, but that's another or multiple other stories. What Wolin is suggesting, I believe, by this comparison is that when we focus our attention and energy primarily on obtaining external material goods at the expense of the common greater good of all, like in our song, we too are forfeiting the eternal blessing of spiritual growth that comes from learning to love God and our neighbors as ourselves, in both faith and in action, for the fleeting pleasures of the material realm. What I am repeatedly learning is that this is also the underlying and foundational teaching of IAF and COPA, broad-based organizing, which is why it aligns with and informs our spiritual journeys so powerfully. I've known this somewhat intuitively since we first started in COPA, and through our ongoing work and learning with the IAF in general and our COPA work specifically. But I'd never heard it explained as meaningfully as it is in this chapter, The First Revolution is Internal. The chapter features the underlying philosophy and teachings of broad-based organizing as developed by Saul Alinsky and involved by Ernesto Cortez, who brought his Chicago Alinsky training back to his hometown of San Antonio in 1974 and founded the nationally renowned COPS, Communities Organizing for Public Service efforts in San Antonio. They have done amazing work over the past 50 years. They've made so many changes that could be a lesson in itself, just about COPS, who's now beginning to celebrate its Jubilee year of 50 years, and we're all going to be getting involved in that over the next year. So over the next 50 years, Cortez, who is now retired to an advisory role, expanded the work into other cities and states across the Southwest by recruiting and training leaders and organizers, ultimately forming the West Southwest IAF that now works in 10 states, including Texas, California, Nevada, Arizona, Louisiana, Nebraska, New Mexico, Iowa, Oklahoma, and Mississippi. They'd be doing more, except they don't have enough trained organizers. So a big push right now is expanding the capacity of IAF to reach out even further into more communities. The article also helped me understand why all of the lead organizers across the West-Southwest IAF movement that we've met in our work and whom Cortez personally recruited and trained, they all treat him with the deference of an esteemed spiritual leader. Now, if you've met Ernie before and didn't know about his history, you might kind of wonder, because he could come across a little harsh, a little curmudgeon-y, and a little old time in terms of cultural and awareness. But as I read this article and the many others, the work he has done and the insights he's had have been transforming for the movement. The late Ed Chambers, who served as the executive director of the original IAF in Chicago from 1972 to 2009, explained the meaning of this chapter title, saying, "The personal growth and development of people is why we do what we do. It's what broad-based organizations do for people, change their lives and integrate their values and vision. The first revolution is internal. It requires commitment to operate on your center." Now, does that sound familiar? Like the kind of work we do here? In fact, as the author Rogers explains, a significant amount of time and energy in the IAF National Training Program is devoted to inciting this first revolution, the internal one, that comes with an awareness of self and self-worth. And that prepares people to then focus on individual relationship building, which is the foundational work of organizing, as we are taught over and over again. They explain people who have a strong sense of self can afford to take the risks involved in relationship building. And what people learn, instead of rules and procedures, is how to be flexible, conversational, and insightful. It's almost like good therapy, slow and difficult, and successful only if you work at it. Noting that the ongoing, never-ending relational training process can be frustrating for people who see progress only in political action, Rogers describes, because she went and did in-depth interviews and observations and everything to write this book. So she describes Cortez's frustrated response to just this type of expressed impatience during a training session on how to do effective one-on-one relational meetings, as he shouted to a young man who was saying, "Can we just get on with organizing?" I can definitely imagine that happening, as those of you who have experienced Ernie as well. So we shouted, "This is it. It is all here. This is the action. This is all we have to offer." And then, taking a breath and backing away, Ernie more calmly explained, "If we don't go anywhere, it's because these one-on-ones don't develop. Organizers burn out if they don't do individual meetings. Pastors lose interest if they don't do this. This is where the spiritual action is. We didn't invent it. It's been done from time immemorial. Part of being is the ability to share ourselves, and it is part of our personal grounding for public action. It is not just what we think, but what we feel. It's getting to the roots of our own personal being." Again, all of us who've stayed involved in COPA these past 8 years can attest to the importance of self-growth and relationships to the survival of this work. It's the same as how we ensure the survival of our own UMB community, by getting to know one another, by counting on one another, by growing together in common efforts, by sharing our differences and yet finding common ground in all of it. Rogers explains that for IAF leaders, the root of personal being is not only understanding feelings in themselves and others, but in coming to terms with their own fundamental self-interest and then learning how to act on it, proclaiming, "I count." She admits that this concept of self-interest that Cortez and Chambers talk about can be confusing at first. She wondered if and how it differed from selfishness and or the special interest groups in politics who push their particular goals to the detriment of the community as a whole. But after listening and watching, she realized that what they are really talking about is a concept of self-interest based on both the physical and psychological needs for human growth. They focus on what people need to develop a sense of self, essentially what people need to be human. And of course, it begins with the basics for survival: food, shelter, and safety, the Maslow hierarchy of values, which are often unmet needs among the people that IAF seeks to organize. Yet Rogers concludes the IAF organizing approach recognizes the need for more than just the basics. To become fully human, people need skills and meaningful work. For self-respect, they need some control over their lives. For fulfillment, they need a sense of accomplishment. And for their own integrity, they need to feel that they matter, that their worth as human beings is recognized, and that they have some visibility in the overall scheme of life, power, and politics. The development of self-interest, then, just like our own development focus on developing self-love, is a move not towards selfishness, but towards wholeness. It is a move towards harmonious living with others and competency in dealing with the complexities of life. It's intended as an internal revolution and a spiritual transformation. The more Rogers listens to Chambers, Cortez, and Sister Christine Stevens, one of Cortez's earliest proteges, the more she begins to understand that the public actions of IAF organizations and the manner in which they are promoted are selected as much for how they provide for the self-interest and growth of individual men and women as for the importance of the issue itself. In other words, if the action that leads to a health clinic in a poor neighborhood provides opportunities for leadership, visibility, growth, affirmation, recognition, and respect for the neighborhood people who proposed it, then it's worthwhile. A double hit, a service to keep people healthy, and a process to learn how to be effective politically. But if the community organizer expert, like Ernie Cortez, gets it for them in a closed-door meeting with a few politicians and city bureaucrats, the people affected don't learn that they are capable of acting for themselves. Thus, the iron rule of organizing: never do for someone what they can be taught to do for themselves. It's not that you just leave people on their own, but rather than doing things for people, we help people learn how to do it so that they develop that inner strength and capacity within themselves. And while it's often frustrating for a politician to meet with a dozen or so networked leaders to discuss a zoning case or the intricacies of a state-federal matching formula for funding a water project, it is the way of IAF leaders, and it's how they learn and develop a sense of their own worth. This kind of approach over a long time can have a profound effect on the people who participate, and we've witnessed that. We've seen individuals here in our own COPA work that were field workers become competent speakers and leaders and become community healthcare workers and help solve the problems of COVID in our Salinas Valley. It's an amazing process to watch. It works particularly for those people who've been shut out of power because of their income or race or lack of education or ignorance of social graces. It can change them, and through them their families, perhaps even their neighborhoods and communities. But being able to make those deals depends on developing relationships with people who hold power as well as each other. Cortez says, we teach people that the relationship is more important than the issue. If people's conception of self-interest is narrow, then it's okay to screw you if you were on a different side of the issue because we become enemies. But if we see the relationship as important, there's another dimension to it. Being right is not always as important as being reasonable. And being reasonable means that you review and look at your interests in a different way because of your relationships with other people. As Cortez continues to explain, for us to grow and develop, we have to get out of ourselves and into the skins of others. So in session after session, IAF organizers continue to teach hundreds of new political leaders in many states, just like those of us in COPA here, that every time we engage another individual on a deep level of human understanding, we are also developing ourselves spiritually and politically. In truth, I believe we cannot separate our spiritual selves from our political selves. They are simply two sides of the same human endeavor of learning to relate to and love one another, and responsibly co-create a world that works for all, recognizing that no one truly wins unless everyone does. And what I have also learned in our years with COPA is that the process is designed to meet each of us where we are and allow us to grow from there. Our members, like those at the UU Church in Carmel or the Episcopal Church in PG, may not lack the basics for survival. We're not fighting for our own food, shelter, and safety. And thus, it may seem that we don't need the political skills to get those needs met for ourselves. But we do need to continue to grow and develop by learning to get out of ourselves and into the skins of others so that we can dismantle the delusions of fear and separation and expand our understanding, compassion, and connections. And we do need to learn the political skills that can empower us to be effective citizens and develop collective power so that we can be a voice at the table for the common and greater good, equal or greater to those who seek only their own personal gain to the detriment of the whole. This is how we can move beyond our sincere but too often powerless thoughts and prayers to make a real change, co-creating a sustainable world that works for all, beginning right here in our own county, organizing for affordable housing and health care, good-paying jobs, compassionate immigration reform and justice, good education, and responsible stewardship for our environment. In fact, there is an upcoming opportunity for all of us to participate in a COPA action on Saturday, October 26th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Spreckles Veterans Center, where COPA will be celebrating and recognizing our years of long relationship with Senator Ana Caballero, particularly around the issues of workforce development and affordable housing. We've been redistricted here in California, and so Ana Caballero is no longer going to be representing Monterey or Santa Cruz counties. So she's sort of passing the baton to Laird and I don't know the other individuals because our two counties have more than one. But we're also using this event as a way to start training the newest members of COPA in how they can show up at a public event, how they can take charge of a meeting, how they can speak for the things that they need and advocate to power. So we're asking you to mark your calendars now. There's going to be more information coming and planning around carpooling logistics. And if you have any questions, you can see Sue. I'm sure as the date gets closer, we'll be actually doing sign-ups because we need to have an actual count about who will be showing up. So I ask that we commit to supporting one another in not forfeiting our spiritual birthright of politicalness, which provides us with our capacity for developing into beings who know and value what it means to participate in and be responsible for the care and improvement of our common and collective life, which is to say our capacity to experience heaven on earth, which is sourced in the effort, not in the outcome. Namaste.
face of God. I hold you in my arms. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
So now it's our opportunity to take these thoughts, these concepts, these callings, and move into a time of reflection and quiet, where rather than just our own brains spinning around the ideas, we open ourselves to the insights of a higher perspective and to the callings that are true to our highest nature. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. If you can, put your feet flat on the floor so you feel grounded with Mother Earth. Maybe roll your shoulders and shake off any stiffness. Acknowledge any sensations going on in your body. And begin to breathe, focusing on each breath. Inhaling, I am here in this moment. And exhaling, we are here together. I'm going to share with you one of Glenn Cardy's blessings, and then I'll invite you to just spend some time in the silence reflecting on what this inspires in you, just listening for the guidance of Spirit, and opening our hearts and minds. This is entitled, Blessed Are Those Who Seek the Common Good. Blessed are those who seek the common good, even when it's not their own. Caring for those who don't care for them. Caring for those who can't or won't be good. Blessed are those who've learned and given empathy without needing reciprocity, without needing recognition or reward. They emanate contentment like angels. Blessed are those tireless encouragers who see the best in the worst, who see the light in the cracks of our lives, who lead us, guide us, bring us home to our heart. So again, I invite you to allow these words to just enter your heart for a few moments in the silence.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
And so as we begin to bring our attention and awareness back to this time and this space, I recognize the power of how our spiritual walk informs and supports our external walk of sacred citizenship that again informs and supports our spiritual walk. How we learn to see the face of God in each person we meet is by going out and meeting people. Getting out of our comfort zones, out of our silos, crossing the street, and becoming aware of the lives and cultures and gifts of others who come from different backgrounds than ours, who live with different needs than ours, but who indeed are the face of God, just as we are. And how we transform this world and our experience of it is by seeing the face of God in every person we meet. And so as we give thanks for this opportunity to learn and grow and deepen our spiritual nature and our powerful impact on the world, we are grateful. And we say, thank you, God. And when you're ready, open your eyes and be here now.
Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us who give of our time, treasure, and talent in order to sustain this spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. Our September 9th daily word offers this wisdom. When worrisome thoughts trouble me, I respond by counting my blessings. Each blessing that comes to mind is a manifestation of prosperity. As I give thanks for each one, my prosperity consciousness grows. I begin to recognize abundance everywhere, in the beauty of nature, in acts of kindness, in words of praise. I give thanks for my talents and skills, for the opportunity to do meaningful work. I count my friends and family among my greatest blessings. I discover more ways I have prospered and find new channels of good. My heart fills with love and gratitude as I realize my prosperity. As the ushers now come forward, I invite you to think of something specific you're grateful for in this moment. And now, with our hearts and minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe into the divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough, that we have enough, and that there always is enough to both have and share. We give thanks for all the ways you give, in person, online, monthly bank auto payments, using the QR code from the pews, or your credit card in sacred grounds. And we ask that everyone join in faith and gratitude as we pass the offering baskets this morning by holding and blessing the basket as it passes to you. And now please join me in our offertory blessing. I am an open channel for God's infinite good, divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God.
For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone offer a space, a safe place for growing, for everyone born, a star overhead. For God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For women and men, a place at the table, revising the roles, deciding the share, with wisdom and grace, dividing the power, for woman and man, a system that's fair. For young and for old, a place at the table, a voice to be heard, a part in the song. The hands of a child in hands that are wrinkled, for gay and for strong, the right to belong. For God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For everyone's right, a place at the table, a covenant share, a welcoming space, a rainbow of race and gender and color, for gay and for straight, the chalice of free. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For everyone born, a place at the table, to live without fear and simply to be, to work, to speak out, to witness and worship. For everyone born, the right to be free. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy.
Thank you. It is with great joy that we bless and give thanks for these gifts and offerings that demonstrate our collective commitment to spiritual work of love and transformation in our lives and in our world. We dedicate this offering, our lives, and the ministry to more fully expressing the Christ light that is the truth of our being, and inviting all people to know God's love. Finally, knowing that, one with God, all things are possible, we affirm together. The good is now, the rest is blessed, and the best is yet to be in our lifetime, gently. Thank you, God. For our music today, we thank Shirley Arena Murray, Brian Mann, Carl Huntley, Karen Drucker, David Roth, Denise Rosier, and our awesome music team, Denise Hedlund, John Gunnan, Sue, Marianne, Christine, myself. Woohoo! So for announcements, as always, please make sure you check the e-blast. We do have a couple that don't have slides this morning. So for our first one, our summer dinners. If you have not paid yet, please make sure you do. There are 2 spots available for the Fossler Daniels party, the French countryside cuisine. So if you're interested, hop on it. And also, Marianne and Sue's event is next weekend. We do have a waiting list for that. So if you have signed up, we need you to pay your fees as soon as possible. Or if you're not going to be able to attend, please let them know so that we can have people on the waiting list that can step up.
And we'll contact people on the waiting list.
There you go.
Okay.
And a reminder, yeah, so it's next week, and we won't have church between now and then, so chop chop. Get on it. So, and also as a reminder, that September 29th, we'll be having our 5th Sunday of the month, which is our Building Fund Sunday offering. Okay, for slides, our UMB Autumn Fest Anniversary Banquet is coming up soon, Friday, October 4th, if you haven't marked your calendars yet. Sign up. Yeah, mark that calendar, get in there, sign up. We do need food choices as soon as possible. So also, we're still collecting items for the silent and live auctions. Thank you, Martha, for coordinating that. We have some beautiful things downstairs. Just saying. Our choir practice resumes Wednesday, September 25th at 6 p.m. If you've thought about singing along with us, and you...
I think it's at 5 p.m. I think that's what I had.
Okay, we'll change that.
Yes. Thank you. But I'll send an email out to you.
Okay. So if you have questions, see Denise. And then October 6th, we have a special guest speaker and a communications workshop. There will be a fee that includes the book, and there's more details in the e-blast. And then we'll be having a potluck lunch before the workshop. Not easy for me to say today.
So you don't have to go out and come back.
You're just going to have lunch right here on the spot. Thank you. So, as we bring our service to a close, we are grateful that you have all joined us here live or virtually. Whether it's your first time or you're regular, we hope we've made you feel at home here at our Unity of Monterey Bay community this morning, knowing that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. And if this is your first time with us today, be sure to pick up a packet of information in the back of the church. Our chaplain today is Sue, so she's available to pray with you in person, and she'll be mingling after this service. And we also have prayer request forms in the pews. You can drop one in the prayer box at the back door, or you can use the prayer request line on our website. And of course, we always have Silent Unity available 24 hours a day by phone, email, or the Silent Unity app on your phone. So now, let's please join for our prayer and protection and peace song in our closing circle.
We are small but mighty. So again, as we lift up those in our community that have healing needs right now, and we see them whole and strong and healthy and able to rejoin us soon, we also hold our nation in our prayers as we move through these lessons of democracy and how it intertwines with our spiritual work and our spiritual awareness of creating oneness in the world. So blessing the entire planet and all of creation, please join me in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.